What if your greatest prison wasn't a place, but a person? And what if that person was you? We all seek connection, but there's a fine line between wanting company and a desperate need to not be alone. A line that, once crossed, makes us prisoners of silent fear. The fear of meeting who we truly are in the absence of others. Today, we're going to break those chains. We are born to connect. It's our most primal instinct. A baby left alone cannot survive. This ancestral echo resonates within us as adults, a constant whisper. Don't be alone. Modern society has amplified this whisper into a deafening roar. We are bombarded with the idea that happiness is in the next match, the next notification, the validation that comes from outside. And so, we build an invisible prison, its bars made not of iron, but the gazes of others. The real problem isn't the desire for companionship. It's the sheer terror of solitude. This terror leads us to accept shallow relationships, convenient friendships, and a life that isn't ours, just to keep the noise going. The philosopher Nietzsche warned us about this. He said that our bad love of ourselves is what turns solitude into a prison. It's in this forced silence that the inner beast, our fears, our flaws, our shadow, begins to stir. And to avoid facing that beast, we do anything. We lose ourselves in another person. We go to our neighbor not for friendship, but to run from ourselves. We become an echo, a reflection, the shadow of someone else, believing their presence can fill a void that, in truth, only we can fill. This escape, however, comes at a devastating cost to our soul. This relentless search for external fulfillment is a first step toward becoming a crippled version of who we could be. It's the beginning of losing our identity. The irony is that by trying to escape loneliness at all costs, we end up feeling more alone than ever, even when surrounded by people. True loneliness isn't the absence of others. It's the absence of yourself. When our self-worth and sense of identity depend entirely on another person, we turn them into a god. We place our partner or even a friend on a divine pedestal, expecting them to save us from ourselves. We believe their love can complete us, that their validation can heal our deepest wounds. But as the thinker Ernest Becker pointed out, you can't draw blood from a stone. You cannot extract spirituality from a physical being. This idealization is a deadly trap. By making someone our judge of good and evil, we become a mere reflection of their will, a mirror of their expectations. And what happens when God fails? They become a devil. The same partner who is the source of all our happiness becomes the cause of all our suffering. Resentment begins to bubble just beneath the surface, because deep down, we know we handed the keys to our own existence to someone just as flawed as we are. This dynamic creates codependent relationships, where one is a god and the other is a slave. Both are resentful, both are suffocating. It's not love, it's a pact of fear. If this reflection on the nature of relationships resonates with you in any way, hit the like button. It's a sign that we're on the right track here. The inevitable consequence is a total loss of self. You get lost in the other, the same way an obedient child gets lost in their family's identity. Your opinions, your desires, your dreams, they all become an echo of your God's desires. And when that relationship ends, what's left? An overwhelming emptiness, because the person you were sacrificed on the altar of this false deity. To survive in this state of dependence, to ensure we won't be abandoned, we build a mask. The psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott called this mask the false self. It's an artificial personality, crafted to please. We say yes when we mean no. We smile when we want to cry. We become overly compliant, social chameleons, all for the fear that our true self will be rejected. The false self is a brilliant defense mechanism, but in the long run, it suffocates us. It disconnects us from our authentic feelings and needs. Life becomes a performance. You're on stage, acting for an audience of one or maybe for the whole world. But backstage, your soul is withering away. You become a stranger to yourself, living a script you didn't write. This feeling of being an imposter in your own life is incredibly common. Have you ever felt you had to wear a mask to be accepted in a relationship at work or with family? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be the mirror someone else needs to see themselves. Shattering the false self is an immense act of courage, and according to Winnicott, it's only possible through one tool, the capacity to be alone. It is only in the silence, away from a need to please, that we can begin to hear our own voice again. It's in solitude that the mask finally cracks, and we can rediscover who we are beneath all the layers of conformity. Modern society teaches us to see solitude as a failure, but the greatest thinkers and artists in history saw it as an essential tool. Solitude doesn't have to be an abyss of despair. It can be a forge, a place of heat, pressure, and transformation, where the raw or who we are is shaped into a sharpened sword of character and purpose. It is in solitude that we become the blacksmiths of our own souls. The psychiatrist Anthony Storr argued against the idea that growth only happens through relationships. He showed that inventors, artists, and thinkers achieve self-realization through an intense dialogue with their work. By giving form to an external creation, a book, an invention, a piece of art, we are, unknowingly, imposing order and form onto our own minds. Creative work in solitude is a form of self-therapy. Dostoevsky went so far as to declare that solitude is as essential to the mind as food is to the body. Think about that. We nourish our bodies every day, but how often do we deliberately nourish our minds with the silence needed to organize and create? Away from the demands and judgments of others, we can finally forge our independence, our values, our unique voice. Learning to flourish in solitude doesn't mean becoming a hermit. On the contrary, it means being able to enter relationships as a whole person, not half of one. You stop looking for someone to complete you and start looking for someone to share your completeness with. Your company becomes a choice, not a necessity. And that changes the entire game. We arrive at the final goal, self-sovereignty. This is the point where you don't just tolerate solitude. You seek it out voluntarily, because you understand that your greatest treasures are buried within it. This is where we confront Nietzsche's inner beast, no longer with fear, but with the courage of a lion tamer. You look at your shadow, your fears, and you integrate them, turning them into sources of strength. Achieving this self-reliance is rare and difficult. It requires you to become your own source of validation, your own safe harbor. It means understanding, as the poet Rilke said, that if something is difficult, it is one more reason to do it. The difficulty of solitude is precisely what makes it so valuable. Growth is found in the challenge. This journey to becoming sovereign over yourself is the path of true personal development. It is a continuous process of self-confrontation and self-discovery. If you seek to master yourself and want to keep receiving content that challenges you to grow, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The journey is long, but you don't have to do it alone. Self-sovereignty is true freedom. It's the ability to be with others without losing yourself, and to be by yourself without feeling lonely. It's when you finally understand that the most important kingdom you will ever rule is not in the outside world, but within your own mind. In the end, the fear of being alone is the fear of looking yourself in a mirror and not liking what you see. Or worse, not seeing anyone there at all. We spend our lives running from this meeting, hiding behind other people, behind noise, behind distractions. But the truth is, the one relationship you can never escape is the one you have with yourself. Instead of running, why not start cultivating it? Embrace the silence. Confront the beast. Build your inner kingdom. Because the person you become in solitude is the person you truly are. And that person is worth getting to know.